when cultivating wholeness, one is invited to explore and embody the inner resources, as well as one is also invited to be supported by outer resources. And so when we speak about outer resources, we also refer to the culture that surrounds us and influences us, and hopefully helps us, supports us in building that foundational base of wholeness. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 stories, snippets of stories that are from different places around the world, from indigenous nature-based cultures. So, see, I believe stories are real. Myths and legends and all sorts of stories are real, and they are as real as we allow them to be. And these particular stories that I'm going to share with you are especially real because they are carrying a magical, ancestral wisdom with them. So I'm inviting you to listen to these stories with an open heart and to imagine how it would have been for you to live in a healthy and nature-based and eco-centered community, and to open your imaginations and emotions and senses to these stories. So, dear one, let's walk. Let's walk the dusty roads of a village in West Africa, in Burkina Faso. So as we are walking on the roads, we are encountering this young woman. Perhaps she is something like 17 years old. And we are noticing that she has an extensive burn scar on her face. But that doesn't seem to make her self-conscious or ashamed. Quite the contrary, she seems exuberant and full of life. So we are entering one of the huts from the village, and we are asking, what happened to the girl? And there in the huts, there is an elder who is telling us that years ago, her mother threw boiling water on her in a fit of rage. And ever since, the girl is with this burned scar on her face. But the elder is also continuing that after this incident, the village responded immediately. The village people gathered around her and they assured her that what has happened had nothing to do with her. It was not her fault. They told her that her mother was wrong for what happened, and that she, the girl, was still a loved, precious, and valued person from the community, loved by her people. In other words, the village people assured the young girl that what occurred to her remained superficial. It did not penetrate beyond the skin surface. Yes, she carried and she's carrying a scar now, but her soul was intact. Her village could see her value and helped her remember her essence. Yeah, take that in. And here is the second story that I'm going to share with you, this time from a village, a Native American village. So similarly, like in the previous stories, we are still walking the dusty roads of this particular village, and we know that in this village there is a woman that is about to become a mother. And she is about to become a mother by giving birth for the first time to her child. And the moment of birth is approaching, and she feels the pain of the labor, and she is calling the midwife to help. And the midwife is coming, and she's ready to help the mother with this labor, because for anything and anyone to be birthed in the world, a labor is required. And so the moment approaches, the crowning moment, the moment in which from the inner world, the child breaks through the outer world and is being crowned and received by the whole world. In our particular story, the very first one who receives the child is the midwife. And she's the first one who notices that this one is a boy. And this one is also having some physical malformations that he's born with. What we would call in this culture disability. And this disability is in fact a gift. Not longer after the child was born, the whole community, the whole village came to the mother and the child for celebrating this one's presence in their village. They brought gifts, they brought songs and prayers and dances of celebration. Only once every blue moon, such special child was being born in their community. And I was telling you that this was a gift, and indeed it was a gift, because the family that was birthing such a child, such a special child, was receiving a special treatment. From the moment that the child was born, the mother and the father of the child were set free from certain communal seasonal duties, such as hunting or cooking or sewing. And so, because the only focus that this mother and father should have was tending their child and having time to listen and to learn all the wisdoms that this one, this particularly special one with physical malformations, was bringing from the other world. And for the parents to have time to also offer to the community these wisdoms and these learnings that they would get from their own child. In this way, having a child with disability was a gift. So, yeah, this is the second story, and take that in. Allow it to find a place in your body as we are going to the third story. And here's another piece of story from indigenous Mayan culture of Guatemala. Here, the elders of the village did not allow the young people to touch one another romantically or sexually until after they were initiated. When the first signs of readiness were seen by the elders, young people were separated from each other and from the village, and they were sent into the wilderness for a year. For a whole year, they were into the unknown, far from which was familiar, holding deep questions and expressing longings. They grieved, and they were courting the divine. The divine that they could love, but they couldn't possess. And in doing so, becoming capable of loving another human. And only after this deep time of 1 year of wandering and receiving gifts from mystery, they would return initiated, ready to be a responsible member of their community. Allow yourself to be touched by these stories, by all these stories, knowing that these are examples of how a healthy culture looks like and feels like. We expect what our deep time ancestors experienced as birthright, namely the container of the village. We are born expecting rich, sensuous relationships with the earth and with the sacred. Cultivating our wholeness requires also for us to be inspired and supported by the wisdom of the culture that we are part of. And I know it in myself, and I know it from the many people that I'm working with. There is a deep yearning for the co-creation of a healthy and mature culture. And maybe the stories that I just shared with you are pieces of inspiration for us. And here there are 2 questions for you to ponder about and to journal about. Ready? They will stretch your imagination as well as your heart. But before the questions, imagine our culture nowadays with whatever it has: TikTok, consumerism, wars, refugees, loss of animals and species, as well as small, steady steps towards transformation and towards embracing an eco-consciousness. So thinking about culture as a being, as a creature, and feel into what might be their feeling. What does culture might feel? What are the emotions that the culture nowadays has? As well as what are the needs that culture nowadays have? What is that culture needs? And maybe you can write these questions in your journal and be with them, especially be with the questions. Sure, ponder and be curious about the answers, but especially be curious about the questions themselves. As well as maybe holding somewhere on the edge or not so much edge of your consciousness the stories that I've shared, the possibility of how can we live and love and die together in community.